in the financial statements, and that resulted in the unqualified opinion. Performance reporting, this has improved from the qualification in the prior year to an unqualified opinion in the current year. However, there is also a misalignment between spending and achievement of targets, as 63% of the service delivery targets were achieved. However, 87% of the budget was spent. In terms of compliance, there has been a decrease in the number of compliance matters reported. However, inadequate actions remain in order to address transgressions or take action against the transgressors of the legislation or entities' policies. When it comes to financial health, the creditor payment period has increased from 73 days to 128 days. A deficit of 114 million was recorded in the 23-24 financial year, and 52% of the debt of the entity is deemed to be irrecoverable. In other words, they do not expect to recover those funds. The entity also experienced losses in terms of impairment of consumer receivables, sitting at about 68 million. Loss in the value of property, plant and equipment due to lack of safeguarding and vandalism, sitting at 3 million. And our electricity losses is sitting at 202 million for the financial year. Unwanted expenditure further incurred. Irregular expenditure increased to 1.54 billion rand. Fruitless and wasteful expenditure also increased to 112 million rand, and our budget was overspent by 468 million compared to the prior year. Consultants were appointed by the entity at a cost of 4.6 million rand, increasing from 3.5 in the prior financial year. And from a human resources point of view, there also remains instability and vacancies, especially in the finance unit with a 28% vacancy rate. Councillors, my final 2 slides is to provide you as well with feedback on the 5 recommendations that we have provided to the municipal leadership. And I am pleased to confirm that the Honourable Speaker, the Mayor, the City Manager has committed to implementing these recommendations. While there may be a long road ahead of us in order to ensure proper governance, we believe that if these 5 recommendations are implemented, we should see a significant movement in the right direction. We've added as well in the current financial year detailed actions that we believe, if this is followed on a step-by-step basis, it could lead to the implementation of the recommendation. And we tried to link it to the specific areas of concern as we've highlighted throughout this presentation today. I'd like to take you through the recommendations that has been committed by the leadership of the municipality. The first one is that we need to establish control processes to address the weaknesses in our overtime system in accordance with applicable legislation, as this is specific our remaining qualification paragraph in the current financial year. We need to implement actions to address the reading of households where estimates are being, where estimated consumption have been done for a prolonged period that affect the reliability of our service revenue income. And we require a plan there, as the municipality without sufficient revenue would not be able to maintain its level of operation, and the foregone revenue we've identified could have been prevented if there has been actual readings of meters and consumption used. Recommendation number 3, we need to commence with the investigation of unwanted expenditure with a view of reducing the backlog of uninvestigated balances. Also with the view of the implementation of consequence management so that accountability is taken by officials within the municipality. Our 4th recommendation is that we need to enhance our control processes to address weaknesses in the maintenance and delivery of infrastructure. And this is specifically in reference to our key service delivery infrastructure that we highlighted in this presentation for you today, where we believe the project management unit should play an impactful role when it comes to the management of infrastructure, specifically those dealing with water, sewage, roads, electricity, etc. And then finally, the performance indicators set in the STPIP must be well defined. Targets must be specific and relevant to the performance indicators, which is critical for us, councillors, in order to ensure that what is put in front of you as achievement for the past financial year is is properly assessed and is a true reflection of what transpired during the financial year, but also finding that alignment between what we spent and what the people are seeing on the ground. Honorable Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity. If you'll allow Mr. Duda for closing remarks.
Okay. Before I hand over to Honorable Speaker, I just want to touch on just on a few things. To first, really thank the municipality to commend them on the appointment of the leadership. I think these things to be rectified start by having stability in the leadership. I think is something that we really want to commend, and it made it also the audit process very smooth. And I can say that they were very cooperative with the audit process. And I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that I hope the insights that we shared, that it will assist the council to shape their focus to say, how are you going to perform your oversight differently? Because the reality for us to achieve better outcomes and better results, we need to reorganize ourselves to say, how are we going to perform our oversight differently? And also, I'm hoping that these insights that we shared, Honorable Speaker, that are relevant. Is it relevant based on the experience that we have interacting with our citizens, and also empowering us so that we are able as this council to fulfill our roles and the responsibilities. And lastly, Speaker, I want again to thank the time that is been offered to us to present on these outcomes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Odwa, for that comprehensive presentation. Indeed, we are delighted that it has highlighted key areas of improvement which must honestly be taken into consideration. We also take note of the recommendations as provided for in that presentation. I don't know if members would like to pose some questions, or the executive mayor would like to make final concluding remarks before we can recuse the team from the AG's office. Let me first note, you will come last, Executive Mayor. Councillor Kotze, Councillor Dimpale, Councillor Mungale, Councillor Peter, and then you will be the last Executive Mayor. Thank you, in that order.
Thank you, Speaker. Through you, Speaker, I'll just raise the following questions to the Auditor General. In your previous report, you highlighted that the Mangaung Metro made payments for goods and services that were either not received or of poor quality, including an 8.1 million rand payment for ICT goods and services that were never delivered. What is being done to recover the funds? And have any of the suppliers been held accountable for failing to deliver the goods and services? You also found that employees with a private or business interest in suppliers were awarded contracts by the municipality without disclosing their interest, which is a clear violation of procurement rules. How much value is tied to the contracts awarded to employees with undisclosed interest? Were there any financial losses incurred during these violations? Have any of the employees involved faced disciplinary action or legal consequences for failing to disclose their interest? If not, why? As noted in your current report, there is a clear lack of engagement with the public by the Mangaung Metro leadership. Would your office be willing to accept an invitation to attend a public meeting in my ward, alongside the executive mayor, city manager, and all heads of departments to present the report and address questions from the public. I thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dipale.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Chairman, my questions to the Auditor General. I'm not casting any aspersion. Don't be. The question that I'm going to ask is not a question that I'm coming. All that I need to, because I'm asking myself, how did we get to be where we are? The auditors, can auditors be corrupted? Who audit the auditors? I'm just thinking years back to be where we are. With everything that you have just put here, how did we get here? I'm not saying, because I see, like you said when you started the AG, you said you met with the HODs, you met with all the stakeholders, the MPEG, and everyone else that needs to. And what did you find from them? Especially the arms like MPEG, because those are the people that committee needs to check or start to investigate some of the things that are happening within my municipality. There's something like, you said something like 191 million that is underspent by HODs. Why are we having HODs and all the officials whilst there's money that is there and nobody's underspending them? I mean, we've got squatter camps outside there. Money's not being spent. People are just sitting somewhere. I don't understand whether they are qualified or not. Someone is not doing their job. Either they are lazy or incompetent to do the job that they're supposed to do. Another thing is, there's also projects that are now overspent, like 20% from the intended amount of money that was supposed to have been spent on the project, that now had to be stopped. How is that? How does it come to that here we said this project is going to be 10 million and now it has to stop and be for 3 months or 90 whatever years, but people were expecting this project to have gone through. How? It is so sad that we need to come here and listen to this. And worst part of it is that there's money to be spent, but some people don't want to spend or are afraid. I don't know. 191 million, whilst our people are living in poverty. It's wrong. It's wrong. And there's no consequence management, like you said. Heads need to roll. It can't be correct. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Mungale.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Dr. Matai. Mine is also in line with what Councillor Dipale have raised about the efficiency of Auditor General. I remember some other time I had a fight with one of the colleagues of Auditor General during our training as councillors, where I said, are the findings of Auditor General compulsory? If they are binding, like the one of the public protector, why are the Hawks or SIU not being called in immediately to save public funds Because this is not municipal funds. I know in your report you say it's municipal. It's not municipal funds. It is public funds. It was meant to help the public, but it ended up not reaching its intended objective. Let me make a practical example. The project of water of Muscle Sport and the project of water of Tabanchu, it could have addressed the water crisis that we have in Mangaung, where people have to leave their houses to go and look for water, stand somewhere where the delivery truck will be standing just to go and fetch water. Now, if we are working and we are working at these remote private sectors, it means you will not be able to get water for that particular day, and your children are going to suffer. And this is a crime against humanity. I don't know how do you define it. Anything that denies our people access to basic services, it's a crime against humanity. And you as auditors, Auditor General, you come in Mangaung year in, year out, year in, year out. You always come with findings that shows that things are not okay. But there are no consequence management. You want to relegate the entire power to MPEC. MPEC is limited because in Mangaung there is a collision of ANC, ATM, and AIC. And they constitute majority. Once you want a particular decision to be taken and they outvote us in the council, we are defeated. Now, where does AG comes in? This is where we want you to come in. I have already made up my mind, Speaker, I need protection. I need protection because when everybody else is speaking, I don't speak. If I'm saying what people don't like, people just have to accept I didn't start this. It is Auditor General's report that started this. Now, if you say Auditor General is wrong, contest Auditor General's report. Don't contest me. All I'm saying is that we are being made to look useless in the eyes of public. While we are raising these issues at MPEC, we are also raising these issues at committees. We are raising them in the council. We are defeated by the collision in Mangaung, the collision of African National Congress, African Transformation Movement, and African Independent Congress. I wanted it to be recorded. Those are the people who are defeating us every time in the meeting when we want to correct a wrong. And we are not saying every councillor of the ANC is corrupt. All what we are saying is that the power of the decision of that collision paralyzes this council. We were progressing, now we are regressing again. Because of what? Because there is no one who's keeping a constant check to this institution to say, Hawks makes arrest where you have to make arrests. Hawks are waiting for president to give them declaratory order before they can start to act. If the president does not give them order, it means those people will not be arrested. Now, what kind of this democratic system do we have where people can steal? An ordinary citizen, when they steal, they are arrested immediately and they're being taken to court. But when it is us legislators, it's either it will be subjected to a commission or it will be a process whereby the Hawks will have to take time before they can come and arrest me. What makes me special? When I came here with a vote of the same people that get arrested immediately.
Thank you, Councillor.
Auditor
Your time is
General,
up.
do your job. If you can't do your job, reflect it to Parliament to say we have the following limitations. We want to get people arrested because people are blaming us that we always come to investigate, but we end up not getting the desired results at the end of the day. We are also trying on this other side. Thank you, Speaker.
Councillor Peter.
Thank you, Speaker. Greetings to the Executive Mayor, Deputy Mayor, MMCs, City Manager and his team, and the Office of the Auditor General. Let me thank the City Manager's Office, CFO, and the team for coordinating the audit for the 2023-2024 to its conclusion. I must also thank the Office of the Auditor General for their commitment in expressing unbiased audit opinion for 2024. As much as it remains a third qualification in a row, however, looking at the qualification paragraphs, we were at least a moving step forward, despite the issues that were raised by the Auditor General in his findings. And ultimately, we are looking at finding a clean audit, and we believe it's achievable with the army of well-qualified and experienced staff that we have as the city. One has noted the issues surrounding the inability of the city in terms of substantiating the employee-related costs, especially overtime. This gives an impression of a loss of control in managing and approving the overtime. However, the situation has been exacerbated by the inability to submit documents to the AGSA. I think you remember that in most of the findings that you have said, our overtimes are not supported by certain documents. So we are working very hard to deal with that particular matter in order to address issues that were raised by the Auditor General. We have also noted with a great concern that the number of things that we need to work upon as finance in order to find strategies to manage business workflows.
Sorry to interrupt, Councillor. Is the purpose, if I understood you correctly, Speaker, not to ask questions to the Auditor General now, but now we get an explanation of everything that is wrong? Thank you.
Point is dismissed. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Speaker. I thought maybe he was listening to a wrong script. As the municipality, we pledge to support and propose an audit action plan as proposed by in fact, and support the proposed action plan that will be tabled by the city today in order to remedy the issues that were raised by the Auditor General, so that ultimately we are working towards rectifying what was raised by the Auditor General. Further than that, we also pledge to support, to say, anytime you come to our offices, Auditor General's office, you are welcome in order to make this city a thriving one. Thank you very much.
Thank you. AG. Mayor, do you want to come after the reply? Okay.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank to the Honorable Councillors for such a very difficult questions. The way that we're going to handle the questions, I'm going to hand over to the teams to respond to those ones that are audit specific. And those ones, they will be able to give those ones. But I will try to support on these ones that is the call which is even beyond the audit of expressing the opinion on the financial statement. So I think Honorable Kotse, you raised the issue of inviting us to go and present to your members of your ward. You know, as much as we really want to be close to the public, we need to get these things in a more organized manner, because we won't have the capacity to go and present in all the wards. Let's use the right instrument, which I believe, the one that we have today, of presenting to this council, which is open to the members of the public. And the councillors, you are here to represent the voice of the public, that you are asking those questions. But if there are any follow-up questions, we are willing to give further response to those ones. Otherwise, I think it's going to be very tough, because I'm just thinking that in a practical manner, as you know that this team, while it's busy here, they're already starting with the audit of provincial government. And is it going to be really practical to visit all? But let's look at the ways. I indicated that we started to engage the the community service organizations. Community service organizations are the voice of the citizens. So in that more organized manner, if there's more CSOs who are willing to entertain and engage with them, so that they can be able to represent the needs of the council, and we are able to listen to them and see how do we ensure that we respond, so that the work that we do is relevant to their needs. And then the question to us to say, how did we get here? I think this is the question all of us should be asking. Because for all these years, we've been coming to this council and present the outcomes of the audit that we performed. And with the work that we've done, what action that we have done to address those. I think that is why I was making that comment to say, how are we planning to conduct our oversight different? And I'm happy that we are not comfortable with the outcome that we are presenting. And it also challenging us to say, we cannot do the things that we were doing last year. We cannot do the things that we've been doing 2 years ago. Our oversight, we should be doing it totally different so that we are able to make the impact. So how we get here is because of all these findings that we've been reporting for a number of years. We've been highlighting the fact that there's going concern issues in terms of the finances. What did we do about that? We've been reporting over a number of years that there's irregular expenditure. And we've been reporting to say there are no investigations that are conducted to deal with those irregular expenditure. What did we do with that information? Did we ensure that the investigations were conducted, the people that need to be held accountable were held accountable, the consequences were implemented so that we are able to get in the system the right people that are here? So I think these questions that are raised, I'm happy about them because I think it's triggering us to say, what are we going to do different? As the audit institution, we subscribe to the organizations, global or international organizations that check the work that we do. We subscribe to the ethical conduct. Each and every employee that works for the HESA signs and declaration that they will comply with the ethics. And if you transgress any of those principles, we don't keep those people in our system. We get audited. I mentioned that one of the things that we are proud of is the fact that every year we continue to get the clean audit opinion. Over and above that, something that we have done voluntarily, which is not the requirement. As the Supreme Audit Institution, there's no requirement for us to subscribe to the regulatory board, which regulate the work that is done by the auditors. But because we want to make sure that we are transparent and we ensure that we are comfortable with the opinion that we issue. So the ERBA, which is the regulator for auditors, they come and audit the opinions that we issue. And I can say we've been getting very good feedback in terms of the reviews that they've done to ensure that we're producing the work of the right quality. And the opinions that we express is supported by the right evidence that needs to be put in place. And then the last one maybe before I gave to the team just to deal with the more audit specific. The question around Councillor Mohale of what do HESA does? We are the institution that is governed through the legislation. And in whatever you do, there must be the legislation that says you must do it. The responsibility of the auditors is to come and audit, generate the insights, and give to the role players that are entrusted to perform those roles. So if we're talking about fraud or indicators of fraud that we identified, the first step that we do, we report to management and say, management, we identify there's a possibility of fraud here, go and do your own investigation. And we are very clear that if there's an element of criminality, the legislation empowers us that we go and open a case with the South African Police Services. And those powers, it also gives to this council. So when I look at these things that we keep on reporting, we follow the process, then the question that I'm asking is, what does the council done? Is there any case that you went and report to the South African Police Services because you believe that there's a potential fraud that is there. The roles that we have, extended powers that we have, which we are implementing, which I think Lucas reflected on them. He reflected on the number of material irregularities that we identified. But we have to follow the process because it is a legal process. Auditor General is not coming to take over the role of the accounting office. So if we identify any material irregularity, we first give the opportunity to the accounting officer to implement. Hence, you'll see on that slide, we said there are some of those material irregularities that we are saying, accounting officer, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And then what did we do? We started to refer. And you cannot just come and suspect a fraud and straight to the police. There are processes that we need to follow. And I really want the council to be patient with that process. And we also all of us respect it because no one wants a matter to be taken to the court, and when we're there, we fail because we didn't follow the prescriptions of the law. So I just wanted to highlight that, but I like the questions, and I'm hoping that when we deal with the issues of the action plans, we're looking at that with that eye, because I can see that the council, you don't want to be where you are. And if you don't want to be where you are, what are the different actions that we're going to implement to make sure that we rectify the things that have been gone wrong? Yeah, so I think I'll stop there, Honorable Speaker, then I'll hand over to the colleagues just to respond to those audit-specific questions. Yes, thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Speaker, I believe there's 3 questions that has remained unanswered, which I will attempt to answer. 2 from Councillor Kotze. In terms of the poor quality of ICT work or ICT procurement that has transpired, which we reported on in the previous year. This unfortunately has gone through the material irregularity process. So we've tried to provide the insights and influence. Unfortunately, we have deemed the actions inappropriate, and it has now resulted into enforcement. And I think if you look at our audit report, it is our recommendations are also included there for yourself as well as the public. Finally, the second question with regard to the employee with interest in the prior year, which we've identified, we have followed up in the current year. I think I've presented in the slides the lack of consequence management and inability to investigate. However, what I can confirm is that the payment made by the municipality for the goods or services has been received, so there has not been an actual financial loss when it comes to what has been received. And I think the last question, Honourable Speaker, that I would like to answer is from Councillor Lepale in terms of project overspending and how is it happening. Councillor, I believe what is critical for us is to find the alignment between project management, grant management, and measuring the quality of work that we have on the ground. Currently, these matters are handled in isolation of one another, which leads us to a 100% completed project, which cost us 120% of the completed budget, which leads us to instances where our grant funding is being underspent. And this is why we are excited by the prospect of the project management unit, who we recommend must take this mandate and monitor and to ensure if 10% of the budget has been spent, there must be equal value on the ground. Honourable Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Boshoff. Executive Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. Let me.
Sorry, Executive Mayor. It seemed like there's a follow-up there.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Chairman. I just heard the Auditor General says we should go opening up cases, and he can also go and open up a case, the law empowers. We go there with our own overalls there to open cases. And without a proper documentation, that is why our cases, they ended up in the very same police station. But with you as the Auditor General going and opening up a case with documents, because I believe what you have audited here, you required certain documentation and evidence is there. With us, it's just some few papers, but with you, there's enough for you to open up a case. And I can just imagine when the Auditor General go and open up a case, how strong that could be to the public to say, at least now we have institutions that cares about us. Maybe it's about time you stand up and opening up cases. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think that is being noted. I don't know if you want to reply to that, AG, or you'll simply take note of it.
I think it would be good maybe to clarify, Honorable Speaker, is that I indicated that the legislation that it has, it guides us in terms of our roles and responsibilities. I indicated that as part of our extended powers, we refer these matters. We don't open the cases. There's a lot of matters that we refer. We refer to the Hawks, we refer to SAPS, we refer to the Public Protector. It carries the same weight that the councillors are looking for. Because when we refer these matters, we refer together with the evidence. Because otherwise, we are going to duplicate the efforts as the public institution. So that's rather is the best way that we see it working. And we've seen some fruits on it. There's quite a lot of cases that we referred. I know some of them, they are already in the court roll in some of the institutions. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Duda. Executive Mayor. No, Mr. Mngale, I made an exception to Councillor Malepa, consistent with Rule 34. A member may only speak once. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Let me extend our gratitude and thanks to the Auditor General's representatives and the office, and the interaction that we have had with them through all the processes, and indicate that some of the issues that they've raised, I think they will be part of the document that will be presented, going further into details on how things are with regard to the efforts that we are putting in place. But as the executive mayor and my team, we have had our own interaction with AG, and some of the things that they are putting on the table, we have looked into how best we can actually, salvage and eradicate these tendencies that are actually ranging over years. It is indeed true, Speaker, that you would find some of these things embedded in some of the projects that we're doing. You'll find some of these things impacted upon by the staff components that we have in terms of capacity. All those things are what is inside. And I'm happy that if you look at the report of the AG, it does not leave some of the limitations that we are faced with. They do get findings here, criticize, and also advice along the way. So we'll work inside what is presented before the council, and I hope that at some point we'll come back chest out to say some of the challenges that we are faced with will deal with. That's the first thing that I wanted to raise. The second that I wanted to raise, Speaker, is that we have noted with concern our interaction, and we also know that we can engage the office of the AG in between to physically come and share their expertise and experience with us. But for now, I think what has been withholding us is that we are a cash-strapped metro, and their services are not just coming free. We need to reinvest their effort as and when. But I would love to see such an endeavor where we need not enter with them into a boardroom and then we share spoils on what the right and wrong they do and the don'ts. but also engage their office at a point where physically they must be alongside with us to help us unbundle some of the difficulties that we could be faced with. But that is with time, we'll look at what resources we have on our side and engage that office. On that note, I would like to thank the office heartily and once again say we are at your disposal at any ticking of the clock. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Executive Mayor. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Duda and Boshoff for their comprehensive presentation. We note the contents of the report and their recommendations, and we duly undertake to address earnestly all matters that have been raised in their reports. At this stage, I would like to put an end to a discussion. I am now going to recuse the AG. I will be allowing the chairperson of the Audit and Performance Committee, Mesimpi, to present her report as well. Thank you very much, Mesimpi. You are
Chairman, before the auditor,
okay.
I think maybe next time, if we have going to get a report like this, we don't have to have a lengthy agenda whereby we push things, because now we need to go through things step by step, so that after the auditor answers, then we have other questions, because we do have other questions, but now because now we have this lengthy what you call this agenda. It's very wrong, because we owe it to our public, because now the AG has just presented a very damning report in front of us, and really now we just have one bite and he answers, and then some of us, like you suppressed Councillor Mongali. I mean, it's very wrong. We need to have at least maybe one day or next time when he comes here, we have at least this item only, and then we talk about it, and all of us, we come out here satisfied. Thank you very much.
Any seconder to that proposal, Councillor Mungale? No, thank you. Now we will obviously take note of this request so that we allocate a day to the AG's report so that members are able to ask questions where necessary, make comments, but also where necessary, propose some way forward with a view to addressing all issues that have been raised in the AG's report. That will certainly be taken into consideration. It is a good suggestion, Councillor Dimpale, who will obviously look into it. May I now take this opportunity to welcome Chairperson of the Audit and Performance Committee to present a report before the sitting.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, to the Executive Mayor, the Deputy MMCs, the Chairperson of MPEC, and councillors, the City Manager, and executives and officials of the Mangaung Metro. I also would like to take this opportunity to say compliments of the new year, even though we're sitting at the end of January. We're all hoping for a better year, and which will culminate to a better service to the people of Mangaung. You will see my report. Fortunately or unfortunately, deals with a lot of items that the AG has already touched on. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight a few and perhaps give the council our take as the audit committee on the matters that the AG has raised. I would like to move straight into the report without wasting any time on page 5, which is a forward of the chairperson. We've had 4 meetings in the quarters that I'm presenting today, presenting the report for quarter 1 and quarter 2, and we've had 4 meetings. Moving on so that I can get to the detail of my report. On page 6, unfortunately, we lost one of our members. Ndate Mabunda resigned. He unfortunately has other commitments that are conflicting with his participation as an audit committee member.
Sorry, SMP. Councillor Ramatlam.
Thanks, Speaker. I don't know if I'm the only one who does not have the copy of the report. I don't know, may speaking to which report. Thank you.
Do all members have the copies of the report? Yeah, it looks like it's only you, Councillor. And Rule 7.1 says, in the unlikely event you don't have that report, this does not invalidate our meeting. You've got it? You've got it? Okay, thank you. I'm sorry for that interruption. SMP, you may proceed.
Councillors are having a wrong report. Even councillors of the D are agreeing with me. This is different from what you is reading from. This one is from the legislature.
Just a minute, let me first establish if this is the correct report from what annexure is this?
Mr. Speaker, can I maybe just assist?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, this formed part of the documentation that we received with the agenda. So it's item 13.1.
Yes. It is this bundle, colleagues, is item 13.1.
Clarity?
It is part of the standing rules and orders annexure. Councillor Viviers.
Thank you, Speaker. Just provide clarity, because you didn't say that you're going to alter the agenda. Why now? Why not later? Thank you.
No, there was a request and I made my discretion to allow the chairperson to present so that when we deal with in-house matters, we are done with external presentations. I think it was only fair. Now that I've established that members do have the report, can I allow you, Ms. MP, to present?
Thank you, Speaker. I was on page 6 of my report, where I was indicating that we've lost Ndate Mabunda. He unfortunately resigned due to other commitments. Section 2 of the report deals with the meetings that we held. On the 27th of August 2024, we had a meeting where we were discussing the draft financial statements that we presented by the CFO and her team, and also performance information. That's the information that the Auditor General later on audited. And so, because as we are required by the MFMA to review those documents before they are presented for audit purposes by the AG. So we had a chance to give also our inputs on the documents. 2.2 deals with a special meeting that we held where we looked at the internal audit documents. Firstly, the internal audit plan, which as a committee we are required to approve the year plan for the for the internal audit unit, and also the internal audit manual that they use as they do their audits. We also looked at our schedule, and then in terms of the culture shift, I'm not going to talk much about it because that's the part that the Auditor General presented earlier on. They took us through as a committee in terms of what the expectation is with regards to the culture shift. And they also gave us a progress in terms of how far they were with the audit at that time. On the 7th of November, we had our normal audit committee meeting where we deal with sending items on our agenda. For example, the AGSA audit scope, audit action plan, the ICT report, etc., etc. I'll get into details of each one later on in the report. On the 7th of November, also we had an in-committee meeting with the city manager, where we normally before every meeting, ordinary meeting, would have an in-committee with the city manager, where we discuss issues that are sensitive that we can't discuss in an open forum. For example, investigations that are underway and material irregularities in terms of what is the progress to that date, etc., etc. 2.5, we also had another meeting on the 9th of December where we were discussing the draft audit report from the AG. Even the report that they were presenting today, we also discussed it early this year in terms of the audit outcomes of the municipality. So I'll get into the details later on in my report. 3.1, record of the work performed by the committee. Audit and Performance Committee review of the draft and annual financial statements. So the draft AFS is still reflecting. So at the time when we were looking at the draft annual financial statements, the ones that were going to be presented to the AG for audit purposes, we raised certain concerns because the documents that were presented to us were still in draft and there was still a lot of work that needed to be done. And we all know that we are required by legislation to obviously give inputs on a set of financial statements before they are presented. So the danger that we always want to run away from is looking at a set of financial statements that still needs to go through, an intensive review by management, because that then doesn't allow us to give that overview and oversight as a committee. And in terms of 3.2, which is the report of the internal audit on the review. As part of the internal audit unit, they are required to look at the financial statements as well and performance information, review it before the draft is presented to us and before it is presented, or we're recommending it to council for approval. So the internal audit unit also did that review, and their findings were also factored into the reports. That would also go for the annual performance information. In terms of 3.4, the report on internal audit review and the annual performance report, like I indicated, there were certain findings that were identified by internal audit, which were attended to by management before the financial statements were presented to the AG. In terms of the internal audit plan, like I indicated earlier, we are required by law to approve the internal audit plan to make sure that internal audit they've got obviously the right resources, or enough resources, and their plan is risk-based and it covers key areas of concern of the municipality. So every year, that's what we look at. Internal audit manual, this is the manual that they use, which when they're conducting their audits, it's more like a Bible that they use when they're conducting their audits. The audit and performance schedule, every year we're supposed to determine a plan with dates in terms of when we're going to sit and be looking at the operations of the municipality for that particular quarter. So normally what we do is we always want our dates to synchronize with that of council, so that when we sit and present and draft a report, it must also go in the next council meeting. Culture shift, that's what the AG has talked about, so I think I'm gonna skip that. In terms of the audit progress, we've also discussed that earlier on. 3.10 is what I want to spend a bit more time on, which is now the information systems. We all know that we have a serious problem at the Metro with regards to our IT. And what we recommended as a committee is that the Auditor General does a lot of extensive work when it comes to auditing IT of the Metro. And it therefore becomes important that we use the outcome of the audit as basically as a yardstick, just like the report that they presented today. It gives us a status in terms of where we are, what are the critical areas that we need to focus on. And because IT at the Metro has so many challenges, we then said to the CTO, look at the Auditor General's findings and use that as a start in order to address all, because the issues are quite a lot. And given the resources that they have, they might not be able to address everything. But that report that the AG presents gives them a very good start in terms of what to tackle. So that's the main thing when it comes to the IT. Secondly, there's also issues of skills shortage within the unit, IT. I think what was presented to us by the CTO was that they have 47 employees in that unit, excluding the call center. And of the 47, only 7 people are qualified to or have the relevant qualifications when it comes to IT. So the other 40 then becomes a problem. But now we're looking at an issue where we're sitting with 40 employees who do not have the relevant qualifications or skills for, and then what do you do as a municipality? Okay, so what we then said to the CTO is that it is important that they obviously analyze the situation, come up with an action plan in terms of what is going to happen. Obviously, some of the 40 people can be retrained or reskilled. I'm not sure what the HR words are, but you can retrain the people and see how you can use them in IT or in other areas. But the risk that we're sitting with here is that we have an IT unit that has a shortage of skills. And the question is, as a city, what do we do about that? Again, there was also a concern that was raised to say our systems are working in silos, our IT systems. So we need to get to a space or a point where our systems are interlinked in order to avoid a human intervention from one system to the other, because that is what will be then prone to mistakes, etc., etc. And then on the audit action plan, I think the AG has also touched on this. Okay, again, as a committee, our biggest concern was the slow progress when it comes to the implementation of the recommendations of the AG. We also have the same issue when it comes to the recommendations from internal audit, that the progress is quite slow. And then, like I explained in the previous meeting, sitting, is that internal audit looks at the control environment. The AG looks at the fair presentation of financial statements. So when internal audit comes up with control deficiencies and they are not addressed, they will eventually affect, or those issues will then affect the outcome of the financial statements. So it therefore becomes important that both these assurance providers, that the findings are taken serious. Okay, one of the things that is also a biggest problem is obviously the overtime, but I'm not going to get into too much detail because the AG has already done that. But as a committee, what we then recommended is that let's not only look at this financial year that just ended, where the AG had given us the audit findings. Let's look back. Let's see was there an abuse of overtime? Secondly, what are we doing with the transgressors? It then kicks in the consequence management that the AG has been hammering on, that we also as a committee are also hammering on. Okay, ICT report, I've already talked about the ICT shortage of skills, but one of the biggest issues here in ICT also is that the ICT steering committee, it's still not functional. And that committee is quite critical. I did highlight it also in our previous report to say it is important that we establish the ICT committee that would look at, if you look at the size and the complexity of the metro, it is important to have that committee functioning. And again, we need, as a municipality, we need to move away from working in silos, working manually, and try and start moving towards automating most of our functions. Risk management, again, the report that was presented by the chairperson of risk and also the CRO, the biggest issue here was lack of response from certain managers. I think if you look at what, if you listen to what the AG was saying and what the risk people are saying, and also we need to get to a point where we plan in terms of what we want to do. That plan must culminate into performance indicators, and those indicators must be linked to the risks, and then it must be linked to the budget. So all these three things must be aligned so that we don't find ourselves having achieved only 45% of the targets, and yet we spend 111% of our budget. So I think it all starts with planning. And making sure that our plan is aligned to the budget, and our plan is aligned to the risks. There was also a risk that, an emerging risk that was highlighted by the committee with regards to the spaza shops and the fact that they were impacting on the health of our communities. And the question is, what is the municipality doing about that in terms of the bylaws? 3.14, I'm on page 10. Section 52 report. Again, the AG did highlight this issue of the spending of the grants. So I'm not going to dwell too much on that. But one of the things that we've emphasized to the city manager is that because we know that the municipality has lost a key person in that newly established unit, it is important that we capacitate that unit such that we monitor the spending of the grants, like the AG has been hammering on. SCM report, we took note of that report, and then also the SDBEP. I must indicate again, like the AG is saying, we have too many indicators as a municipality. Obviously, the management thereof becomes a nightmare. And we find ourselves in a situation where some indicators, they fall through the cracks. We are not able to monitor and come up with evidence that supports what we've done in the process. So I know for 2024, 2025, we might be too late in terms of looking at the indicators, but perhaps in the next financial year, we really, really need to craft and make sure that we do away with operational indicators and focus on key service delivery issues and issues that deals with financial management. 3.17, which is the progress on the unwanted expenditure. Again, the AG did highlight this, but the one thing that we want to highlight as a committee is that we're sitting at, I think we had a workshop a couple of weeks ago where the CFO was presenting to us to say, you know, the municipality is sitting at 14 billion. And the AG also highlighted the same in terms of unwanted expenditure. And the question is, what are we doing? I think because if we don't do anything about this, unfortunately, you know, the people that have transgressed, where there's transgression, are still part of the municipality and are still continue with everyday business. Again, there are those things where you find that there isn't a really wrongdoing, but perhaps maybe there was misinterpretation of a standard or misinterpretation of a policy, things that we can quickly clear to reduce the 14 billion. So our plea as a committee is that it is important that we see that MPEC is capacitated when it comes to such things. The DC board is capacitated so that they can deal with financial misconduct if there is any. And that 14 billion keeps on increasing year to year. And that is a serious problem. And in terms of the recovery plan, unfortunately at that time, we only received a verbal report. But in the workshop that we had 2 weeks ago, the CFO took us through the document in terms of how the municipality came about to be placed under, under financial recovery. Secondly, where are we with that, etc. So in our next meeting, we will then get a formal report from the CFO that tells us where we are in terms of that progress, and we'll continue to monitor that on a quarterly basis. 319, first quarter audit progress report. We, as I indicated, we did approve our the internal audit report, the plan itself, and the report that was presented by the chief audit executive. And then the committee noted ongoing lack of responses from management on internal audit reports. Unfortunately, in some of those audits that they conducted, they did struggle to obtain management responses on some of the findings. And it is something that we have taken up with the city manager to ask for his intervention in this regard. 320, the IIA, or the Institute of Internal Auditors, they've come up with new standards, global standards, where we were required to comply with by the 9th of Jan. So we, as a committee, we also looked at that in order to ensure that our internal audit and us as an audit committee, we do comply. 321, I've already spoken about the misalignment between the budget and our targets, and that's our audit outcome, unfortunately, is stagnant. We did not improve from the previous financial year in terms of the audit findings from the Auditor General. Progress on the material irregularities. The report that we received was that there is some progress on material irregularities. But unfortunately, some of these cases are very old cases, and they are going to take a bit of time to resolve. And the most important thing is consequence management, which is what we need to monitor as a committee. And we will obviously continue to monitor this in our quarterly meetings. And then investigations, the city manager did take us through the high level in terms of the investigations that are currently underway. So what is it that we're recommending as a committee, as an audit and performance committee? First one is the overtime. I think the AG has also hammered a lot on overtime, and in terms of what is required. Like I indicated, it is important to also identify the transgressors so that consequence management can then kick in. Secondly, in terms of the financial position, we're looking at the debt collection. It is important that we collect what is due to the municipalities, to the municipality, and then linking the spending, the collection, we need to link it obviously to also the spending. It is very important that the spending is also responsible, because like one of the councillors was saying, we're talking about public funds here. Performance management and evaluation, the AG also did highlight or touch on this, that it is important to enter into performance contract with the city manager and his executives, so that we can hold them accountable on a quarterly basis. 4.3, ICT, like I said, our ICT is in ICU. ICT needs a serious attention from the municipality in terms of skills, shortages, etc., etc. The management of the audit action plan, there's slow progress. We've got repeat findings. So as a committee, we'll continue to monitor this. In our next committee, we're expecting that management will present a new audit action plan that is based on the audit that was just finalized by the AG. Then risk management, we recommended that management should look at both the current and emerging risks, so that we are not found wanting as a municipality. Implementation of internal audit and performance committee recommendations. Again, as a committee, I would like to reiterate that it is important that the municipality improve the control environment in order to make sure that we don't have repeat findings from AG, we don't have repeat findings from internal audit, and then we are also able to deliver on the services that our people require the most. Thank you, Speaker, and this is the report that we're presenting to Council.
Thank you, Chairperson Melsimpi. May I establish if there's members who would like to ask questions or make a comment? Dear Deputy Executive Mayor.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I just want to applaud the committee. It shows us that really, Speaker, their meetings as required, and out of the number that they have, I know that the work of the audit committee, it's a very big work, and unfortunately, one member resigned. I was even whispering with the executive mayor now and say, executive mayor, we must consider that space, because I know you alone, 4 of you alone, won't be able to do many things. But what I wanted to say in the council is that the management must see it's important to listen to the audit committee recommendations before even the Auditor General come in the institution to audit. They must do what the audit committee says, because, Honorable Councillors, what is indicated in this report is what the Auditor General reported to us in this council today. We have an internal audit unit, the one that is supposed also to assist different departments. I understand it's also, Honorable Speaker, understaffed, but they are doing as much as they can to assist the institution to perform as good as they want. Now, I will really want to support this report that has been tabled by the chairperson of the audit committee as the African National Congress. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. There's a mover for the adoption of the report, Councillor Kotze.
Chairperson, I just stand on Rule 38. I would just like to raise some questions to the chairperson, if that's in order.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Chairperson, for the report. You say that the ICT is an ICU, but when you go to ICU, the doctors and the nurses don't tell you, we will wait for a miracle. And if you go and listen to that report, we are waiting for a miracle. Now, last year, the concern was the appointment of a CTO. A CTO was appointed now. It's almost been a year that she's in that position now. She mustn't go and look at recommendations of the AG. She needs to be empowered to implement those recommendations. Because some of those recommendations has been in the AG report for the past 5 years. And that's a disgrace. Another thing is, the HOD, that's where her department is in, needs to empower her. Another thing is, if you go and look at any enterprise, any company, if you go and look at the budget for your ICT systems, it's your second biggest line item when it comes to expenses, and you budget for that. Not, let's see if there is money available for your ICT system. So you really need to work on that. Because I'm telling you now, every time there's promises, now we're going to get there. There's no solutions. There's only excuses. And we need to stop it. And I'm telling you now, there are people that can do it. But they are too afraid to implement what is expected of them because of political interference. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Thomas.
Ke a leboha motsamaisi wa dipuisano. Ha ke eme mona ho tlo bua mabapi le report re ka tlang ho e fumana. Empa ke wariti speaker ho latella molao wa rona wa tsamaiso. E leng rule 53 ya standing rules and orders. E buang ka moaparo ho lokelang ho apara ha re tla canceleng. Ke a kopa speaker mo dutseng teng mo ke bona batch ya ANC sefubeng sa hao. a na go lokelehile gore o ka apara ka tsela eo ga o sa lokeleya ke kopa mpo o kwaele betšheo ke a leboga.
No, you are out of order. You are not relevant to the discussion at hand. Councillor Thomas. You are out of order, Councillor Thomas. Can I hear a reply, Messempi?
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, DM, for your recommendation. I must indicate we actually do feel the vacuum of the member that has resigned, and because he came with a lot of experience when it comes to government and municipalities, and perhaps it's something that would need to take it up with the city manager in terms of how we feel that open vacancy. And again, yes, internal audit is unfortunately understaffed, but the way that internal audit works, we obviously prioritize high-risk areas in order to try and circumvent whatever risk that may come with the short staffing. In terms of what Councillor Quarter asked is regarding the budget, yes, a lot of institutions are now moving towards capacitating their IT, and obviously capacitation comes with the budget. And it is something perhaps that the Metro would need to really focus on in order to turn things around. Besides, it's also going to improve efficiency also around the municipality. So it's something that I think that council and management needs to look at in order to capacitate the Metro. Thank you.
May I now see a seconder to the proposal by Deputy Executive Mayor for the adoption of the report as presented. Councillor Lechoko.
Thank you, Speaker. I would like to second the adoption of the report. Thank you.
May I now see hands of those in favor of that proposal if there's no any other different proposal? Thank you. The majority of the House accepts the adoption of the report. This brings us to the end of the debates on the report by the Audit and Performance Committee. I would now like to thank you, Messempi, and recuse yourself from the meeting so that we may proceed to other items of our agenda. I'm going to call upon the Executive Mayor to briefly table those matters that he would want us to consider in this meeting. Executive Mayor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Speaker. I think I must put a note that I have prepared aside and just go straight to the reports and indicate, Speaker, that they range from one. There's a meeting this side. Chief Whip, I'll help you deal with the meetings. I expose people. Remember, I do that. I really do expose people when they don't adhere to processes. I was saying to you, Speaker, the items range up until 11. And earlier on, the Deputy Executive Mayor alluded to the item. And my main worry, Speaker, is that they are quite emphasized in their names. So let me name them by, it will be under 10, it will be item 1, two, they themselves are independently dealt with. And then the proposal was that item 3 and 4 will then be treated together. Now there is item 5, 6, 7, and 9. It was also recommended in this house that they be treated together after a little bit of a debate on them. Item 8, which I've now alluded to, item 7. It will be item 8, item 10, item 9, which is going to be part of the other two items, and then item 10 and 11. Given Speaker time, which in our discussion with the multi-party was that should we be in a position to finish in time, we'll also just put another item on the in committee, which it's not long. But those are the items, Speaker. I think I would then commit the responsible MMCs to relate to the items as they are put. I want to believe that the councillors have reflected on those items, and these are all compliance matters, Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Mayor. May I now see hands of those who would want to speak on the first item. DM. Item 1. Any hands again on item 1? Mapakiso Dennis.
I'm sorry, Speaker, I'm totally out of order. May I request that my council, my caucus people leave now, as we arranged with you previously? We are having our Legotla this weekend.
Okay, may I allow you swiftly to do that whilst you are proceeding with the deliberations of the meeting? Councillor Snyman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Item 1. Item 1.
Item 1. Oh. Okay. Here we are. We are good cookers. Go to. Order. Can I now see hands, councillors, of those who want to speak under item 2? Do you want to speak on 1? Okay, Councillor Mongale. Okay, I'm done with item 1. Item 2.
Councillor Malepa.
Councillor Malepa.
Councillor Dipale will take 1 when I speak. Hey.
Councillor Dipale. Okay, item 2, Mayor Snyman. Councillor Mongale. DM, you want to speak on item 2? Councillor Nathaniel. Councillor Lechugo. Councillor Thomas. Okay, item 3 and 4 is one item. Anyone on that item, DM, Councillor Machacha Misa. Councillor Ramatlama. Councillor Mungale. Councillor Dikog. I now proceed to item 5, 6, 7, and 9 because it's one item. 5, 6, 7, and 9. Can I recognize hands of councillors? Councillor Vivier. Councillor Kruger. Councillor Mungale. Are you nominating Councillor Ramatlama to speak? Oh. Okay. And then I'm now proceeding to item 8, is a standalone item. Anyone on item 8? Councillor Peter. Councillor Rampai. Councillor Mungale. Councillor Sibolao. And then Councillor Vivier. And then I'm proceeding to item 10, audit action plan. Councillor de Kock, Councillor Kruger, thank you, in that order. I want us to be out for lunch by 1400 hours. So I will be very strict on time. If you exceed your 5 minutes, I am Councillor Lotrit.
Chair, the point number 11, have we drawn it?
Okay.
No, we haven't.
11.
Sorry, Speaker.
Okay. Oh, okay. Anyone on item 11? Councillor Lotrit. Councillor Snyman. Councillor Kruger. Councillor Dipale. Councillor Nhlapu. In that order, please, councillors. Let me start first with the councillors who are speaking on item 1. Proceed, Deputy Executive Mayor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in terms of Section 21 and Section 121 and 127 of the Municipal Finance Management Act 2003, Act number 56 of 2003, read together with Section 46 of Local Government Systems Act. The amendment provide for the preparation, adoptions and tabling of the annual report. All municipalities in the country, in the province, are expected to prepare and process their annual report within 9 months after the end of the financial year. The purpose, Honorable Speaker, of an annual report are as follows: to provide an account of activities of the municipality for the year and under review. The provider to provide a report on performance against the budget of the municipality and to promote accountability to the local community development for the decisions made throughout the year. Honorable Speaker and the House, the presentation made by the AG earlier has indicated a lot that need to be done to improve on the findings as raised. The report tabled by the Executive Mayor is regard to the annual report is a clear demonstration that the city is transparent in accounting to its residents through the drafting and engaging community members on the implementation of the important report, hence the tabling of the annual report. Honorable Speaker, I must emphasize on the delegation assigned to me by the Executive Mayor. The committee responsible for performance has already started with analysis of some of the root causes and planning towards the corrective actions that the city should take. This is seen both by the site visit done with the risk committee and the audit committee, ongoing assessment of the HOD on their midterm reports, the adjustment budget and the revisions of the SDBIP should clearly focus on the findings raised by AGs. Lastly, Chair, these corrective measures should not only be based on improving the outcome on paper, but be realized by the community on the ground by providing reliable and safe services. We took decision as a committee, Honorable Speaker, that will monitor and evaluate the work that has been done by different departments in terms of this annual report. When it comes back to the council, as it will be referred to MPEC for more deliberation, when it comes back, as this committee will make sure that the evaluation and monitoring has been done correctly, and when the report is tabled here, we'll come with our own input as the committee. We really support this annual report to be noted by this council. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, DM. Councillor Snyman.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. We have limited time, but I see the DA is not there, so maybe we can get some of their time. Thank you. Honourable Speaker, the recommendations refer to noting the first four. However, the E and F is not just notes, but it refers to something that must be done. And especially if with the reports must go to impact. The AG actually referred to the role of impact, and I really want to ask Council that in future we really take note of the reports that comes to Council from impact. I want to focus on 5 issues as set out in the notes to the Mangaung AFS, and proving what the AG said, namely that we are doing harm. First, if we go to page 527, and I'm quoting, a material uncertainty exists that may cast significant doubt on the municipality's ability to continue as a going concern. And then the municipality is under financial distress requiring the implementation of a mandatory financial recovery plan during the year ending 30 June 2024. There is slow progress in dealing with financial difficulties, as only 28% of the activities contained in the financial recovery plan have been fully implemented. My question, why? And since 30 June 2024, have we made any progress on this implementation? Why is the Metro so slow in implementing the financial recovery plan? Secondly, the collection of debt. The average for payment from consumers for their bills is 127 days. This is worse than 2023 when it was only 114 days. Furthermore, it seems as if 84% of receivables may not be collectible. This reflects on our credit control policy. My question, is the credit control policy properly implemented? Then 3, when we look at expenditure for repairs and maintenance, and this is in Afrikaans sê ons dit laat die hare rys. Only 2% of the Metro's expenditure was for repairs and maintenance of critical service delivery infrastructure. And overall spending on critical service delivery was only 7.2%. This leads to, and I'm quoting the AG's report, growing service delivery backlogs. The Freedom Front Plus therefore asks, are there action plans to repair, maintain or replace the aging critical service delivery infrastructure? Then this one is really a problem. And again, I quote page 527. While the municipality's current assets exceeds its current liabilities, the municipality will not be able to settle all its current and short-term obligations with cash and investments as they fall due at any specific point. Does this mean that the Metro is in a state of bankruptcy? The assets are more than the liabilities, but the Metro cannot pay its debts as it becomes payable.
Order, Councillor, let me take a point of order.
It's discussing the documents.
I'm asking questions.
It's discussing the document. He took the channel as is asking questions, but it's discussing the documents. And Speaker, this document is coming back for deliberation, and it's nice because the Prof is member of the Public Accounts Committee, where they will make sure that they will deal with this report as much as they want. I would just request that the Prof must align herself strictly in those questions, that because it's going straight to the discussion of the documents. Thank you.
No, Prof, let me allow you to conclude.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Just be mindful of time, but I think you have a right either to submit a Rule 38 question or make general statements on the matter.
Well, I have a right to ask questions, Honourable Speaker. This is for noting, and we can ask questions. It's
Yes.
my democratic right as a councillor representing.
Yes, proceed, Councillor.
Thank you. Another question is, and this is linked to MPAC. What happened to the work that MPAC does? Because with reference to irregular expenditure, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, and unauthorized expenditure, etc., the AG says, even the AG mentioned that there is, and I quote, no investigation were performed or disciplinary steps taken during the year. That is a bad reflection on us. And as council, we must ask the question, why did nothing happen? Then 2 questions on fruitless and wasteful expenditure. Again, late payments, why? Overpayments to suppliers. How can we pay over 2 million rand in overpayments to suppliers? And unauthorized expenditure, I just want to ask, referring to 2 votes, corporate services and finance, both unauthorized expenditure of over 2 million rand. How and why? Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Mongale.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker, Councillor Matai. Mine is just to somehow questions part of the report, because especially where it was dealing with the issue of socio-economic status, where it was giving us a reflection of unemployment rate, employment rate, and all other elements that goes with it. There seems to be a notion that wants to relegate unemployment only to those people that are seeking employment or that seek employment in the last 3 months. And that is not a correct analysis, because you might have seek employment in the last 3 months, or you might not have seek employment in the last 6 months. That does not make you a person who is employed and who is content. That I'm unemployed, I'm gonna toast a champagne to say, now I'm at peace with it and I'm happy about it. We should stop playing to the hands of the IMF, where they want to define to us what is the definition of unemployment. Unemployment in simple terms is someone who is not working, who has the capacity to work. Now, in this particular case, when you look at the unemployment rate in Mangaung, it says unemployment rate in Mangaung is 30.5%. And it says the employment rate is 41.7%. That 41.7% is 233,000 employees. And then it goes further to say unemployment is standing at 102,000. And those who are not economically active is 223,000. Now, and then it goes further to say there are those who are discouraged work seekers, which is 42,000. Now, here we are sitting with a dilemma. And then they go further to say other not economically active is 180,000. Now, my issue here is that if the labor force of Mangaung is 335,000, or yes, 335,000 or 500 and something thousand, but is staying at 335,000, there is no way that we can exclude people who are discouraged to look for a job and people who have maybe given up looking for employment as people who are now employed, or people that can be calculated or that can be excluded from the unemployed. Because unemployment wants to give us the true figure of our current employment condition in our city. So that when we respond to it, we must respond from the position of strength, knowing how many people who are supposed to be employable, who are languishing in the streets or who are sitting at home, who had the potential of employment. So that when we look at the economic drivers that will create employment, maybe go for industrialization, we must know we push it to how far, how much budget we have, and how much can we go so that we can be able to meet our requirements in terms
Can I
of...
take a point of order, Councillor?
Okay.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. With all due respect, not necessarily a point of order, but merely a point of clarity. I want to understand, Honourable Councillor, what is the bone of contention? Are you disputing the statistics, or are you disputing what we define as unemployed, economically active and not active? Because I'm trying to follow you, but I'm lost somewhere. If you can just provide clarity. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Are you prepared?
No, I understand, but I didn't think it's a point that needed interruption. You could have waited for me to finish talking. After talking, you would have the point of personal information, which is part of our rules. Now, The point I was saying is to say, we need to know how many people are unemployed in Mangaung, so that when we look for ways of creating employment, we must know what is that we are working towards. But now, if we have a wrong system or measuring stick, we'll sit with a dilemma that once 102,000 people get employed, we'll start to pop champagnes to say we have met our maximum mark, while there are many people who are still unemployed. Hence, I'm saying those who are discouraged, it is not out of their own making. And I'm not going to plead their case here. I'm stating a statement of fact. When you are discouraged from home, it does not mean you are working. Does not mean you can pay the bills. You are still unemployed. You are still not economically active. You are still not connected to the lifeline. Now, you cannot take it for granted. I'm not accusing anyone. There is no one who's on trial here. I'm aware that this document has been sourced from Statistics South Africa. I'm aware, I've read it thoroughly. But I'm saying Statistics South Africa should also be taken to task to say, stop creating false expectation in South Africa. South Africa is a developing country. Stop this mentality of IMF, trying to make everything as if we're in America. Here we are dealing with a developing country. Unemployment is a serious matter here. It's a very serious matter and it's an emotional matter.
Time is up, Tante Mangale.
So quickly after being disrupted, because I wanted to raise some points.
As you conclude.
Yes. As I conclude, there is also another matter that has been raised that we should also take into consideration in the report. The issue of intergovernmental relations. I think here SALGA needs to play an important role in making sure that it helps to build a good working relationship between Mangaung and the province, with an intention of forcing the province to end up paying the debt that they owe Mangaung. It will assist us. And the last one is the issue of, last but not least, let me deal with this one, traditional house. I appreciate the fact that we are recognizing that there is a traditional house in the Mangaung area. I appreciate it, and I'm happy that one day we'll be seeing His Majesty or Her Majesty in this particular council. Now, on the issue of what committees, there is an element that we need to discuss, Speaker. I might not discuss it today, but we need to reconsider that. We discussed everything. We gave ourselves increases, councillors. We forgot to give what committees salaries because they never had a spokesperson. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Dipale. Councillor Sibulaola Orume, oh my friend. I want our delivery. It's now your turn to speak. We are done on this item. This item. Do you want to speak on this item? Okay. This brings us to the end of the debate on this item. I don't know, Deputy Mayor, if you want to respond to certain questions, or are you? Okay. Councillors, this matter is brought to council for noting. It will be noted as such. There are 5 points that the Mangaung and Sentlek standalone 2023-2024 annual reports and annual financial statements be noted. That Mangaung and Sentlek standalone 2023-24 audit reports as presented by AG be noted. That the consolidated Mangaung 2023-2024 annual report and annual financial statements be noted. That the Mangaung consolidated audit report as presented by the AG be noted. That the presented audit reports by Auditor General will be incorporated in the annual reports. That refer the above reports to the Municipal Public Accounts Committee that will process the said reports and develop the oversight report and thereon advise Council accordingly. The report is noted as such. May I now proceed to item 2, Risk Management Committee, first by annual report 2024-25 financial year, Councillor Snyman.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and hopefully I'm allowed to ask questions now. I want to, first of all, the Freedom Front Plus wants to thank the Risk Management Committee for the first biannual report for 2024-2025 financial year. My first question refers to page 2, and I'm going to quote, "Directorates are still not adequately reporting on the impact of the mitigation strategies implemented." The question is, which directorates failed to report and why? On page 3, appointment of service providers for debt collection. What is the current situation on service providers appointed to collect the Metro's outstanding debts? At this very moment, are there appointed service providers? How many? Still on page 3, and I see Councillor Kotze is not here now, but I know he would have also asked these questions. On ICT status, have the measures been put in place to improve threat detection and defense? For example, like referred to in the report, upgrading service storage, firewalls, cyber awareness, and the appointment of the ICT steering committee. Then the most frightening in this report, water risks. 49.85% water losses are due to aging infrastructure. And we referred to that in the previous item as well. This is identified as a risk. What is the Metro doing about this problem? Laastens wil ek die stadsbestuurder se aandag deur u speaker vestig op aanbeveling 3.4.1 op bladsy 4. Het die stadsbestuurder of gaan hy forward letters of non-compliance to HODs where mitigation strategies are not implemented? Gaan die stadsbestuurder dit inderdaad doen? En ek sien hy luister nie vir my nie, so ek gaan dit herhaal. Will the city manager forward letters of non-compliance to HODs where mitigation strategies are not implemented? Dankie, agbare speaker.
Thank you. Councillor Mongale.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Dr. Matai. On this item of risk, I have some few points. One of the points is on the report where it is referring to indigent registration, where it is saying the city is not capacitated to handle the workload. But somewhere in the report, there is somewhere where it is complaining about the law firm, to say the law firm needs to, on those points from A to D, where it says on top 3.4.3, where it says committee is concerned with law firm that the law firm needs to confirm the money that they received and all other matters that they've raised in all those 4 points. So I'm saying we seems to be not getting anywhere with all these issues. We appoint a firm, but at the same time, we also have some issues that needs to be clarified with regard to those firms. While earlier on, I don't know whether am I in order, there was a time when we proposed that maybe if this job can also be made easy by what committees to be able to help us to verify certain information that we wanted to do with regard to indigent. Remember the earlier allegation was that I made an allegation to say some of the people that are in the indigent register, they don't qualify. And some that qualify have not been able to be included because of budget constraints of the municipality. Now, we also said that I'm also concerned that there is also a letter that was sent out to debtors, but there is a statement just after that statement that says letters of demands are in the process of being sent out. Now it shows that there is something that is not adding up here. There is a lack of mobility.
Go ahead, Councillor De Beer.
Yes, Speaker. I think something is very strange for us. We don't know about what committees here, because then our what? We don't know what committees. Sorry.
Councillor Kruger, I think you must invite Councillor De Bruin to a ward committee meeting because you are the chairperson of the ward committee. Thank you.
Yes, Speaker, I will be happy if she can invite me because let me just go and observe as a PR councillor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Proceed, Councillor Mongale.
I received the shock of my life. But Councillor De Bruin has put me at ease with the statement. Look, there is also the issue of the report on that one, Yakalwena Mayor, cyber attack. The report on the cyber attack, I'm not interested whether it is finalized or not finalized. What I'm crying about is these 22 compliance steps that seems not to have been done in terms of the Protection of Personal Information Act. Or maybe it has been mitigated by the action plan. But those steps were necessary, and someone needed to do that particular job. And I'm worried if officials are not doing what they are supposed to do, because now we'll end up being in trouble as the council after this lesson that Auditor General gave us. Now, when we look at 3.3.6 status of municipal building, there it is also reported that there were some notices that were issued by the Department of Labor showing that the buildings were not in good condition. But there is also a report that says those notices have been revoked. It means something has been done, which is a progress. We appreciate it. We appreciate when there is an intervention. We are happy about it, and that is why we are here. We are here not to judge people, but to play oversight. When something is being done correct, we appreciate it, and we clap our hands for it. And then on the issue of external, the job that the corrections have been done externally, but internally there was not much that has been done, is still delayed. It's a worry, and we hope that in the next sitting of the council, this matter would have been reported as completed, not with the same story like, you know, that one that I used to complain about. Then the technical report on water, this one is sensitive. We know that the norm is 25%, that with all our best effort of trying to close all leakages, we can only be allowed 25% leakages. But in this particular case, we are at a level where it is 49.85. I think even 49.85, someone was trying to be scientific, is 50%. It's 50% of water that goes to waste. And Mangaung has to pay Blue Water after that.
Thank you,
And
Councillor.
it's unacceptable.
Your time has come.
The
to an
last
end.
one is on the one of I've been raising, the one where I sounded like a scratch CD, the one of diesel, the 100 million, or that was said by acting CFO, Mr. CDT. But here in the document, it appears as if it's not 100 million, it's 500 million. No, 500,000. Now I'm saying between Mr. CDT and whoever gave the report, one has doctored the report. Now, in this particular case, for us to reach finality on this matter, Mr. CDT must be found so that he must come and give his side of story, so, because he was a CFO, and we have no reason to believe that he had an intention to mislead the council.
Thank you, Councillor. Your time is.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Councillor Lishoku.
Kia leboa Speaker, Executive Mayor, Deputy Mayor, batho ba Mangaung, ke le dumedise kasheko. This report from the committee, it's for noting. However, I need to punch some few things or to deal with some few things. And also, as we are on Facebook, we also need to make sure that our community out there, they understand where are we from in terms of dealing with the item. Because it is difficult to move if you do not understand the purpose of the committee and this report. But it will tell you that the purpose of this report is to present to the council the activities and performance of the Risk Management Committee for the first biannual of 2024-2025 financial year. That will be the first point. In other words, that the committee, what it's been doing till to date. Now, it has interrogated different reports, about 8 reports that it had to deal with in that time. But we needed to talk to issue of the ITC status, because in the report, we've been crying about the issue of the ICT. The ICT unit reported that the investigation is on the cyber attack is still ongoing, and the conclusive report is not yet available. It is further indicated that the efforts to improve the threat detection and defense are being made by putting measures such as upgrading of the server storage, firewalls, cyber awareness, and appointment of an ICT steering committee, amongst others. These are things that the committee has done. And also, the issue of, there's been always the allegation of the diesel that was missing somewhere between Botshabelo and Bloemfontein. To my recollection, it is about 500,000. But at least for now, the committee has dig into that, zoom into that, and they were able to explain to us by anti-fraud and corruption unit that reported that upon the investigation, it was found that the diesel worth of 458,514.60 cents was purchased, not 500,000. However, not getting into deep to that, we still have, on that, we still have about 24,888 missing. So that's what we are saying, that the investigation should go on. For that has been said, we thank you, Speaker, and thank you to the committee for the work done. Really, there's a progress since the committee is being appointed. I thank you.
Autsi Ward 5, Councillor Lisho.
Ke tswa Ward 5.
Ke ngo sa qala ka ho dumedisa batho ba Ward 5. Le di vidi tsa bona. Batho ba tshwantseng ho generalize mona ke di PR. No, thank you, Councillor. Councillor Thomas.
Thank you very much, Speaker, members of the Council, and the community of Mangaung. As part of Section 80 Committee on IDP and Performance, I confirm that we recently convened to assess the work of the Risk Management Committee. After thorough deliberations, we are pleased that the committee has demonstrated commendable dedication in fulfilling its mandate. Their work has been conducted in accordance with their terms of reference, ensuring that the risk affecting governance, service delivery, and institutional performance are identified and addressed. We extend our sincere appreciation and congratulations to the Risk Management Committee for their diligence and commitment. Their efforts played a crucial role in strengthening accountability, transparency, and overall municipal performance. However, while the committee has successfully executed its responsibilities, risk management cannot rest solely in on their shoulders. It is imperative that management, particularly the city manager and heads of departments, take full responsibility for managing risk within their respective area of operation. Risk management is not just a compliance requirement, but a fundamental leadership duty. Every department must actively implement the recommendation provided by the Risk Management Committee to ensure that the risks are effectively mitigated. As a council, we have a duty to ensure that risk management is not seen as an administrative exercise, but as a strategic tool that enhances service delivery, protect municipal resources, and strengthen public trust. We must hold management accountable for embedding risk management into their daily operations and ensuring that corrective actions are taken where necessary. Moving forward, we must all work together, council, management, and the Risk Management Committee, to create a culture where risks are proactively identified and managed, rather than waiting for crisis to occur. By doing so, we will not only safeguard our institution, but also improve service delivery to our community. As I conclude, Speaker, let us continue to support and strengthen the work of the Risk Management Committee while ensuring that the management remains committed to implement their recommendation. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, councillors. This brings us to the end of the debate on this item. This item is only brought to the attention of this House for noting. Executive Mayor, do you want to conclude?
No, there were, thank you, Speaker. There were a number of issues that were raised that are related to questions and on the issues that were tabled. One critical question came from Prof. Councillor on the issue of collection. Where are we? And I must indicate that all the processes are concluded, Prof. What we did with regard to collection, we unbundled it. Remember, in the past, it was just one package to one company, and we realized that in one area, when the company has made money, it may not attend to other areas. So we have decided that it must be spread along a number of companies. What I would bring before you would be how many companies in what competency, but collection of residential units is separate from collection from business, is separate. It's also separate from collection of rental stock. So that, and the issue of collection from government, we have decided that it must be government to government because the amount of money that we lose is a lot there. If the government is owing us 1.8 billion rent and somebody collects 600 million rent, that person has already got 60 million rent per that collection. Would you expect that person to do some other collections? Can't be. We'd rather go to Dubai. Mr. Mongalo, Councillor Mongalo, on the issue of the 49% of water losses, I think that is a problem that we have committed the officials to look into it. I think you probably might be driving like some of us in the township, and I'm sure we've seen there's not much water. I'm talking about township, let alone town. We do have spillages here and there, but the amount of spillages would by far surpass and reduce the percentage. But if you look, we're at 48% the last financial year, we are now at 49% plus. And I must allude to say the non-revenue water is what we have now instructed the officials to look at. It relates to mainly informal settlement, where our people are literally living the same way as anybody else with a bulk of water utilized in the area unaccounted for. So our non-revenue water is literally not leaks. as they may be alluded to. It is literally that water is profitably utilized but not accounted and paid for. So we need to begin to address that aspect, and we are on it. Added to that is the ownership of properties in localities, particularly Busabelo and Tabanchu in the May, that are not accountable to even those that are dwelling in them. So, but it's an issue that we have identified to say, where does the 49% come from in the May? We are trying to reduce, at least if we can reach 25%, I'm sure we'll be doing well at that point. Now, there is this issue, colleagues, of the monies that when I came to this council, they were raised. First, I want to separate what Mr. Mungale raised, and it probably may relate to the 100 million that we sometimes talk to. No, these are separate matters. But I want to talk to that 100 million, the 300 million as a speaker, and the 196 million that when I came to this council, there were those figures that would be thrown. The 100 million has disappeared, and then the 300 million that was given by the Minister of Human Settlement has also disappeared, and the 196 that came from the province disappeared. I must indicate that the current CFO, through his knowledge economy, has managed to trace all these monies. And in the next council, Speaker, I think I should account, but the long and short is that the monies never disappeared. The money went back to where they were coming from, except the 196 that was utilized. At the point when she arrived at the answer, I think of the 196, there was 55 or 54 million that still have to be used on the Vista Park side. But the 100 million and the 300 million, those monies went back to Treasury. But the problem was that even though the money was given to us by Human Settlement, but the money came from Treasury. And when the money was not utilized, the money went back to Treasury, but there was no accountability between Treasury and Human Settlement and the Metro. So all the other CFOs and the municipal managers that we had could not trace the money, and they ended up giving the impression to the council that the money disappeared, when in actual fact the money went back to where it was coming from. But I'll give a proper account on that one. I'll give a proper account on that one, and it will actually explain itself to say we create sometimes out of either the officials we have, either or the impression we sometimes create, tend to be in logized on systems that may not be accountable to one another. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Executive Mayor. This brings us to the end of the debate on this item. This item was only brought for noting, and it is duly noted. May we now proceed to item 3 and 4, which is one item. I only have 3 speakers there. No, I have 4 speakers. Deputy Mayor, you'll be followed by Councillor Machacha Misa, Councillor Ramatama, Councillor Mungale, and lastly, Councillor Dikok.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. No, Honorable Speaker, the SDBRPs enables the council and the community to monitor the performance of the municipality as each activity contain outputs, targets, and timeframes and spending of the budget. The SDBIP is yet another step forward to realize the principle of democratic and accountable local government as enshrined in Section 152A of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. Although the performance of these 2 reports, Quarter 2, Section 52D, and midterm, Section 72, are averaging between 60% to 65%, more efforts are still needed to actually see the performance on the ground. These reports include the financial reports are reflecting the same performance when comparing the OPEX spending and the CAPEX spending. And the committee speaker was really indicating in this report that city manager, with your team, can you please focus on the CAPEX? Because the report is mostly reflect the performance on the OPEX. I still encourage this council to work together with the administration to improve the challenges that are still a threat to our city. I therefore move for the adoption of these two reports as tabled by the executive mayor, speaker, and say, honorable councillors, in your different section 80, when there are reports that are coming in your section 80, can you please deliberate in details those reports, because immediately you deliberate on those reports are consolidated and made the SDBIP. If we are not seeing the problems in those reports as the oversight committees of Section 80, and you believe that the Section 8 of performance will do marvelous and making sure that we'll detect. The detections must start in your different Section 80. Let's work together to improve the performance of this institution. It's not only lied only in one a committee of performance and also the committee of public accounts, but all of us as this council of Mangaung, we are responsible to make sure that we deal with the issues in our respective committees. When we bring the report here, we bring the report that we know that we owe as different departments, that we deliberated more in those reports, because most of these reports you can check, Honorable Speaker, the performance of the departments. Others they went up, others they went down. But there are reasons, as we are dealing with the session of working together with the different departments, to assess them, to hear what exactly wrong for making them not perform according to the standard as we are in the second term, because there is a norm percentage in terms of the second term where we're supposed to be in the second term, even in terms of the spending of the budget. Because you heard what is the AG said, that there's certain monies that are still in the risk that it might be go, others they went. But we are saying as the committee, we are tired of the money that have to go while all of us were responsible in our different Section 80. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, DM. Councillor Machacha Misa. O ka qala ka o bitsa di-vidi tsa hao, o ba dumedise kaofela di-vidi tseo.
No, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Majoro wa Sebaka, Deputy Mayor, my Chief Whip and Chief of the Council, Baayi ba Ward 3, ba re beile mona, ba tlo re beya mona hape. Honorable Councillors. No, this service delivery and budget implementation plan for 2024-2025 is within the council midterm of the implementation of the current 5-year IDP. This means that as this council, we need to reflect on the achievement and impediments that will see our council term come to an end with no results to show. As we table the Section 52 and Section 72 report, which clearly display that the plans that the city had put for themselves are partially being realized despite the challenges that our city is facing. However, the lack of implementation on the capital budget is clearly demonstrated in this report, and it should not be tolerated. The Auditor General report has indicated that, amongst other issues, is that we're spending more on the budget compared to the actual performance of the